Let's move on to the big one. It used to be the big one anyway. First versus fourth. Uh, it was a long time since we can say that. And it should be a quick one this, Hamza, but talk to me about the lineups.
Yeah, 44, as I mentioned before. We played with double 10 slash double false nine, Soboslai Jones through the middle. We developed into a 4-2-2-2, so Sal and Diaz would have width out wide, and Soboslai and Jones would obviously cover those central spaces. City also played with like false nines as well, or players occupying those spaces. She had Foden and Marmoush dropping deep. We tried to squeeze them with Gravenberch and McAllister and Konate and Van Dijk. And what they wanted to do in these situations was use De Bruyne to get around either on the left side or the right side. You often saw him on the right, but he did pop on the left as a spare man. But the way we sort of got around that was by covering off the pass in the first place, and then sometimes using our centre backs to jump up and allowing the extra man to move across. So, for example, let's say De Bruyne is on our right side, so he's moved over into that space, in the right half space. Gravenberch would move across, Van Dijk would step up, maybe go into Foden, and McAllister would shuffle as well. So that's how we try and deal with that. And what City also did, so they played with Rico Lewis, Kusanov, Ake, Guardiola as their back four. When they had possession, Lewis would tuck in alongside their number six, Nico Gonzalez, a new signing. He's quite good, keeps the ball quite well, wins the ball as well. Not as good as Rodri, but he's there, as Pep says, mini Rodri. So this was actually quite similar to the sort of thing that you'd expect to see maybe like a couple of seasons ago. I remember we travelled to City and we played with a 4-4-2 in a 1-1 draw. I think there was a penalty miss in the COVID season. So similar-ish sort of themes there. But yeah, their attacking midfield four was Savinho, De Bruyne, Marmoush, then Doku, and then Foden as the nominal nine. So yeah, a few things going on there. We largely allowed them to keep the ball. We were happy to sort of sit back, block the space. Also, when Lewis,
Well,
he would move back to right back without possession. Sometimes we could get a Gonzalez. Yes, Dan?
I was just going to ask because Bart's going to have to go on this one. He's
Hmm.
past his bedtime, but I was just going to say, Bart, do you just want to give us the city stats back first because we can't do this justice in your absence.
Yeah, no worries. Apologies, Hamza, for interrupting your flow. But it was a very different line from the previous game, but about 62 to
Pretty
38
good though,
possession
wasn't it?
percentage.
Pretty good stats
It was
back.
pretty good, yeah. Up till 80 to 81 to 18. Total shots, they outshot us 16 to 8, but some of the key areas. Shots on target 4 to 5 in their favour, so not that much out of sight. Penalty box shots, so 6 apiece. Big chances, 1 to us, 0 to them. 2 goals to us
Amazing.
and 0
Zero
to
big
them,
chances.
which is amazing. Away at
Yeah.
City, 0.71 XG to us, only 0.63 to us. To them, sorry. And that means your threat conversion is going to be down. But we kept them below nearly at 30% threat conversion, which is outstanding considering this is City. They might be having a problem season, but they've still got very good players. So, and we got out to about 70, which is fine for away from home. Long ball rate was typically low for them. It was around the same as the previous game for us. And we actually dropped out in the second half. But and just to do the Monte Carlos, and I'll leave you to do the rest of it how you want to do. 0-0 was actually the most likely score, but that's because XG is low. The next one up was 1-0 to us. So yeah, 2-0 us was 7%. 1-0 City was 17, and 1-0 was 14. So yeah, and actually, if you run it multiple times, we come out and win the game 35% of the time. City are only winning it 27% of the time. A draw is 38% of the time. So that's where your models don't really match sometimes the tactical side that we put in place to get the result, because it will look at what you produce and it will try and analyze from that. So but yeah, a very good performance, which I'm sure all of you will talk about off the ball, with limiting City to, as I said, a threat conversion of 30% and only a 0.63 xG. Is
4%
at the
average shot
Etihad.
quality. 4% average. Yeah.
He's outstanding. He's outstanding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've said about signature performances, and I think I said one of the previous ones was I think Bournemouth away was a performance for me for showing that the champions.
Yeah.
This was another one, going there and absolutely not allowing them to play, controlling the game off the ball was an amazing time for us. And on that note, I will bid you good night. So there you go.
Farewell. Sleep well.
Cheers, mate.
All the best for tomorrow. Right, Hamzah, sorry about that before, but we had to get the doc in before his cocoa was calling. One thing I was going to ask you about Man City is that they only had 3 players in this game who played the return fixture in November. That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it speaks to the well, first of all, the key injuries that they've had, and the new players that they brought in, and the lack of trust Guardiola has with certain players.
So you're so diplomatic because you work for the Times. I'm just going to point it to you that he didn't pick all the slow lads who can't run anymore. Only De Bruyne
when they all
played.
came on, I was thrilled for the last 10 minutes. Finally, we can transition through the middle. But no, in this particular game, when you've got the running power, well, he put in his quickest players. So you got Kusanov. I don't know if anyone watched, well, if listeners watched the Real Madrid City match, but there was one particular moment where Vinicius Junior isolated Kusanov, and he knocked the ball around him, and he just thought, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to take him on as I would do any other player." And Kusanov turned and then beat him to the ball. Kusanov is
36.
phenomenally quick.
He's over 36k, isn't he? Yeah.
He's super fast. So yeah, having him was important.
Yeah.
Having Savinho, Doku, Marmoush, but also they didn't have Haaland as well. And when I mentioned earlier that Van Dijk was stepping up occasionally into midfield in the first half, you would think if obviously so they would actually. It's not like they'd have an extra man. As in, it's not like Foden would be dropping and then Haaland would be there. And they'd also have Marmoush. They would have changed it if Haaland was starting. But for example,
Yeah.
let's say Van Dijk was following Marmoush into midfield, then you would have an opportunity there where Haaland might be one-on-one against Konate, or there'd be a space between Konate and the other 2 fullbacks, and then try and attack that. But they couldn't do that because they didn't have him, which meant that they had these quick guys, but we also had our
the best centre back pair in the league.
Who were better in that area as well. So that I think that would have spoiled any plans that they had, but instead they tried to use possession and then use their rotations and wide play to get in the box. But they're able to get wide, but beyond that, there wasn't really much punch to their efforts.
So, Si, your thoughts on the selection for us? I think you said coming into this game, the fatigue index, everyone was on fire.
You're right across the midfield that they were totally on fire. So it was a gamble. I would suggest Curtis is the highest gamble because he's the one with the injury history. The others don't have any injury. So you're going to be a bit worried. And as I said before, choosing to put him in is just a huge utter indictment of Darwin. Because as Hamzah pointed out before, he was going to play Jota. So it wasn't like in training all week we'd planned to play 2 10s, or 2 false 9s is what it worked at. But I see how we set up to be really smart in the way that fullbacks have changed roles to become wingbacks. They now do their dual roles, so that we now have midfielders that are doing 2 roles at the same time, and that's what he utilized them like 1 notch forward in the board, and they were in charge of all of the pressing. I thought it was an absolute pressing masterclass. It's the best I've seen as press. I wish we had pressing dashboard 3 years maybe. I thought they were amazing. And City were, despite it felt like we were happy for them we were happy to just dictate space and for them to have the ball. Arna was not happy that we didn't have the ball after the game. Which is
first half. He liked he liked the second half, but not the first.
Yeah, I liked the second half, even though we didn't really have much more possession second half. But what I wanted to say was that the tactical flexibility of this man, and not only that, of these players in relatively small period of training time, because we have so many games, it's impossible to put on full training sessions. We must have less than 10 this season. I mean, in all honesty, must be fewer than 10 to embed tactical models.
So it's all going to be it's all going to be classroom. For this match, it would have all been in the video room, right? And classroom stuff.
iPads.
Not on the pitch.
So they'll get iPads. They'll all have iPads, and they'll have models and videos of examples of this is where I want you to be at this time. Do this thing. Here's the problem solving for these situations, and they'll be constantly giving this stuff out, and it's brilliant. So he's gone from Jota not being able to start when he planned for him to start to CJ being able to come and do this thing, and he knows how to do it straight away. I thought he was much better at this than he was on the wing against Villa. The first 20 minutes against Villa, he was garbage, and then he gradually got into the game, and I thought he was really good. In this game, he did this. Him and Zobbo did the things that they are really, really good at, and they were tasked with this thing. The consequence of which is that we didn't have the ball as much. But the off-ball stuff, they were brilliant at. And the tactical flexibility is that in the first 40 minutes, we had 3 entirely different structures. What Hamzah was saying about Virgil popping out only happened after 15 minutes. Up until 15 minutes, like you could see the panic on his face. He's like, "What the fuck do I do with Foden here?" Like they were playing no strikers. And we were going to have to figure out
inside left, wasn't he? Or Marmoush, wasn't he?
Marmoush was going inside left. Foden was going inside right, and De Bruyne was supporting down the right, or he popped up occasionally on the left. But he was mainly playing as like a really floating 10, wherever he could see an opportunity to do damage and support. And we didn't know who to mark that, because we have often we go to a man marking system. It depends on where we are on the pitch, but that's how we go to get the ball back. And it's like, who do I mark here? And they brilliantly in game changed our method 3 different times. I thought he was brilliant, and it's remarkable to see the greatest tactical manager of our time get schooled in real time.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and there's so many strong performances, but other than the obvious, that I thought the quality of our 4 midfielders side is just such a high level, and the best thing is they complement each other so well. They're not all the same type of player, but they're all such a high level of technical quality, and also then athleticism, which is the biggest thing. I thought the biggest thing between the teams, even with City's new players, was the athleticism. They still, even with all their new lads, they still couldn't handle us.
Yeah, you have. I don't know, when you work in management. In management, you have, or in education, you have golden threads. It's a new thing that people as management having golden threads. You have principles, and we have these for recruitment. Being a good dude is one of the golden threads.
Yeah,
but
no
also
dickheads.
A lack of injury history is one of the golden threads. Intelligence. It really wouldn't surprise me if you work in one of the top 100 footsie companies or whatever. There'll be some kind of personality test. They're in all likelihood aptitude test, exactly. And it really wouldn't surprise me if we're doing that, because our midfield, they're so smart.
Dickheads, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to AnfieldIndex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at AnfieldIndexPro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.